Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Metzia DAF Chaf Hey. We start from the Mishnah on Chaf Daled Amud Beis. It says the Mishnah, Ve'elu chayav lahachros. In contrast to the previous Mishnah, which contained a list of various items, various situations where the item found need not be returned, need not be announced, and no effort needs to be made to locate the owner. In the following cases, says the Mishnah, chayav lahachros, you have to go publicize that you have found the item in the hopes that the owner can provide a siman, a sign, some sort of form of identification to confirm himself as the owner of the item. Matzo peros bekli, you found produce. Peros means not only fruit, produce, whether it's grain or whatever, inside a container. And Rashi says, stam kli, yesh bo siman. The kli has a siman, so it can be easily identified and confirmed. Or he just finds a container. Once again, it has a siman, you have to return it. Mois bekis, he found money inside a container, inside a pouch. Or kis k'maishu, just a pouch or a wallet on its own. Again, these things have a siman. Tzibure peiros, tzibure mois, piles of peiros, piles of money. Rashi says the siman will be either the number of piles or the location of the piles. That will, that information will be provided by the fellow claiming to be the owner. You have 3 coins stacked on each other. That too is a siman. Little bundles of wheat inside private property. And the Gemara earlier discussed this, whether it's a thing that has a siman or the makom will be a siman. The kikra homemade bread, which each one has a unique appearance, which allows you to identify the owner. Or shares of wool, which have been already processed in the uman's place. The uman is the fellow who processes it, so it's been processed in a certain style, and again that information can be provided by the fellow claiming ownership. Finally, kadiyain, kadishemen, jugs of wine or oil, which have a siman. In all these situations, you have to seek the owner. You have a mitzvah shavas aved. So in the first case, we have matzah kli, peiros, bikli. Peiros inside a kli. So you return everything. Tama de matzah peiros bikli, umois bikli. That's only because you found the content inside the container. The peiros inside the kli. And since the kli has a siman, the peiros go along with it, presumed to be owned by the same fellow. Likewise, umois bikis. But let's say it's sitting right beside the kli, outside the kli. Hakli ulafan of peiros. You found a kli with a siman, and beside it you have the peiros. Or kiss ulafan of mois. We have the kiss, and in front of it is the money. In these cases, we say, sure, the kli and the kiss, which have a siman, go back to the owner, but the content, the stuff sitting outside, you just keep it, because it has no siman, and we don't assume that it originated inside the kli, and since goes back to the same owner. No, perhaps it was dropped separately, and you keep that. Tanina, it's our Mishnah, which indicates as such, is a raya laha the tanrabana to the halacha, same halacha found in a brisa, which allows you to keep the material. Matzah kli ulafan of peiros, or kiss ulafan of mois. Although the kiss and the kli, which have a siman, go back to the owner, but harelu shaloi, the material belongs to you. But if it's part in and part out, which indicates that in fact it came from the kli, which belongs to that fellow, miktasim kli, umiktasim al karka. That's by the peiros. And by the money, miktasim nekis, miktasim al karka, part here, chayav lahachros, we treat it just as the kli, and it goes back to the fellow claiming ownership. Okay, so the Mishnah and the Brisa both tell us that if the material is totally outside the kli on the floor, you can keep that, you don't have to connect it to the kli. V'raminu, we have a kashma or a Brisa which connects the two things, and dictates to us that we're meant to assume that they're both owned by the same person, so the content is attributed to the kli, to the same owner, and goes together with the kli. V'raminu, matzah davar she'en bo siman, b'tzad davar she'ish bo siman, chayav lahachris. Right? So you found something without a siman, like the peiros, no siman there, but it's sitting beside, right? Sitting right in front of Kli that has a simon, so it goes together. It's attributed to the same owner, Chayv Lahachris. Now let's say a fellow comes along, points to the Kli as his. Look, I have a simon, it's mine, but he says the Paris, that wasn't mine. Okay, great. So the finder keeps that. But otherwise, the assumption is that it's attributed to the same owner. We assume it originated in the container. Right? So in this case, we say, but otherwise, unless the owner concedes, we assume it's his. We can answer the stira between the Mishnah, which says, you keep the thing, and the Brisa, which says the content goes back to the owner of the container. It can be answered as follows. The Brisa, which says that, the Mishnah, which says the finder has a right to keep the content, is speaking bekuva, v'kitna. It's a container, right? V'kitna, and there's flax sitting right beside it. Now, flax is not smooth, slippery material. It's fibrous. So, since he found no trace at all of that fiber inside the container, what does that tell us about where the fiber comes from, where the pishtan came from? It didn't come from here. That's the Mishnah's case, and that's why the finder keeps it. Ha-betano peri. The Brisa is speaking about a basket with fruit in front of it. That's slidey, slippery material. So, there, it's very likely, it's probable that the Paris came from the basket and it goes back to the owner. Rav Papa Amar Hava Betano Peri, both cases, Mishnah and Brisa are speaking about baskets of fruit. Well, Ikash, the answer is like this: Ha de yishtayer b'midi, ha de lo yishtayer b'midi. When the Brisa says you have to return the Paris, we're speaking that there is some Paris still inside the container, which indicates that it came from there. The Mishnah is speaking, there's nothing in there. So we treat them as two separate entities. Another possibility, both are speaking, there's nothing left in the container. Loikash answers like this: Brisa, which requires us to return the Paris, is speaking where the basket is facing the Paris. So we assume it just slipped out of there. The Mishnah is speaking that it's facing a different direction, and therefore we don't attribute it to the container. Another possibility, both are speaking, the basket is facing the fruit. Well, the Kasha answers like this: the Mishnah, which allows you to keep it, is speaking where the container has inverted lips, sort of an inverted fold at the rim. This la'ognin litzana, right? The basket has the oigen, which typically would prevent all the content from falling out. And if there's nothing inside the basket, what does that tell you about the origin of the Paris? It came from outside. Hadlas la'ognin, the Brisa, is speaking that the litzana, the tzana does not have oignin. It's just a smooth rim, in which case it's very likely that the Paris sitting in front of the basket came from the basket, and therefore you meant to return them. Tzibure Paris, v'tzibure mois. That's the next item in the Mishnah. You return it. How do you return it? What type of identifying sign is the owner going to provide? The items don't have any simon. It's money, it's fruit. Minyan, the amount of piles. Oh, you said you found 4 piles? Yep, that's a simon. But the truth is, it's not so simple that minyan is a simon. It's not really necessarily such a specific type of identifier. So do you mean to say that the Mishnah will be telling us now that minyan works? Does it work? Well, no, but perhaps not. Tani, tzibur peres. Let's switch the wording of the Mishnah. Instead of tiburei, lashon rabin, tzibur, a pile. So, if it's a pile, there's no numbers to speak of. Well, then how is he going to identify it? Shamas mina, makam avisim. Inevitably, he's going to provide the location. Right? You're going to tell me you found stuff, and you say, you found it in that corner. So, is makam enough of an identifier? Which is not so simple. Tani tziburi pairs. Okay, in that case, we'll switch it back to plural, tziburi. And he's going to use the quantity, the amount of piles, as a simon. So basically, Rashi says we can sort of shift back and forth. You can't prove either way, because if you're going to insist that minyan is a simon, we'll switch to the other version of the Mishnah, which cannot work with minyan. But it's only one. If you're going to prove from there that makam is a simon, we'll switch it back to minyan. So basically, there's no way to substantiate either approach. Next, shloisha matbeos el gab zeh. Mishnah style tells us, if you have 3 coins stacked on each other, that's enough of a siman. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak migdalah. Vu shasuin k'migdalan. It rhymes with his name. Vu shasuin k'migdalan. That the 3 matbeos are stacked like a tower. The bottom coin is wider than the middle coin, which is wider than the top coin, so it looks like a pyramid, like a stacked tower. That indicates deliberateness, that it was placed there intentionally. And therefore, the owner will come back and give that siman. Tana mihachi, we find the same in a brisa. Ma'atza mois for zoris. You find scattered coins, you keep it. It has no siman, but asuyin kimigdalim, if it's shaped like a tower, chayv lahacharis, you return that. Ve'elohein asuyin kimigdalim, what does that mean? Shleishim matbein zel gab zeh. Right, 3 coins stacked on top of each other. Now, Hogav Akashi. If you take a look at the brisa, we have a difficulty. Why? Amris, first you start by saying, Motza Mois Fazoris, you found them scattered about, you keep it. Now let's make a dik, an inference. Let's say it's not scattered, but they're sort of like lying over each other, right? Not neatly stacked, but sort of, overlapping in a sort of haphazard way. Then we assume that it was placed there deliberately. That's a siman chayv lahachris. You have to go return it. Let's move on to the next part of the brisa, which tells us otherwise. That's not enough to denote deliberateness. Amos safe. The brisa continues. Only if it's like a migdal, which indicates that it was there by design. But it's just lying on each other haphazardly. You keep that. So which one is it? We know Fazaris is yours. Kimigdalan, have to return. What about Mishalcha v'Shalchufi, which is so in the middle? So that's the way you write. Tan kol she'en asuin kimigdalan mifu zaros karlahu. The only time you return is because it was kimigdalan. Anything else, even in Mishalcha v'Shalchufi, is like mifu zaros. So the Bryce is sort of relating to anything other than migdalan like mifu zar. We treat it as scattered, even though it's not really fully scattered, but it's enough scattered. It's not neatly stacked and neatly structured to justify Hashav Safed. Amr B'chanina le'shano l'shleisha malachim. So B'chanina will now once again interpret the halacha in the Mishnah that 3 matbeos must be returned, and he's going to go with Rabbi Yitzchak Midaloh's pshat as well. So first he starts by saying you should know this halacha of chayiv lahachris is only el shleisha malachim, as the 3 coins were coined by different kings, basically different currencies, totally different formats, different types of coins. Aval shel melech echad, but if they belong to the same kingdom, the same currency, the same format, you don't have to return it. What does that mean? What's going on? How are they lying? In what position are they stacked? Either they're stacked like a tower, neatly stacked. So even if they're the same currency, who cares? But they're stacked neatly like a tower, that's a symbol. On the other hand, if they're not stacked like a tower, then even if they're coined by 3 different currencies, governments, who cares? There's no indication of deliberateness, no indication of derech hinuach, like it was placed there intentionally. There's no simon. Says rather, Reb Chanina's halacha was learned as follows: when do we say you have to return them? Exactly like Rabbi Yitzchak Midalah just told us. They can be of the same currency, but their appearance looks like 3 malachim. Basically, they're 3 different sizes, as we said before. Wider, above it a narrower, above it a real narrow, you have like a quarter, on top of it a nickel, and then a small coin, a dime on top of that. So it looks like a tower. How? Ravicha tata, the bottom one is wide, umetzia ilaway, and the medium-sized coin is perched above that one, vizuta, and the real small one, iluya metzia, sitting on top of the middle one. Damrinan anuchan chinu, which tells us that the owner placed it there deliberately. He's coming back for it. He'll give you a siman. Aval shamelach echad. But when Rav Chanina says that if it's shamelach echad, it doesn't work. He doesn't mean a matter of currencies and government. He doesn't care who coined. It's not a matter of who minted the coin. It's a matter of the sizing. The kulikada deninu. All 3 are of the same size. They're stacked above each other, but they're all the same size. We don't see much, structural design embedded into this pile of coins. Afagav de manchi adodi. That's a chiddush. Even though they're placed on top of each other, they're stacked above each other. Harei l'shol, you keep it. Why Amar? Because we can speculate that it just happened by chance. Isramuye, Isrami, it happened. Ubadin adodi nafa. They just dropped out of the person's pocket together, and they landed squarely on each other, which is a big chiddush. Rabbi Yechon disagrees. Rabbi Yechon Amar, afilu shemalach echad nami machrus. Even if they're all the same size, but they're stacked neatly above each other, that's what the Mishnah is saying. That's enough of an indication of their chinuach, of simon, and you have to return it. Now, generally speaking, how do you return coins? What are you going to call out? What are you going to announce? My machrus, minyan. I found 3 coins, right? And the owner will have to come back and tell us how it was lying in what position, right? Then my tlasa. Why do you need to have 3 to justify a Shabbos Aveda? I feel it's train nami. It would work even by 2. You can say, look, I found coins and 2 coins, and tell me how it was placed. Amar Avina Tiva Machrus. No, we need both signs of identity. You call out money. I found money. You don't tell them how much. And matbeos matzos, right? You don't tell them how many. And in that case, 2. If he comes back and says 2, the owner it doesn't work because he's assuming the least amount is 2, because matbeos is lashon rabim. So number here won't work. It won't be a show of ownership, right? So at a minimum, it has to be 3. So now when the owner comes and says it was 3 and it was stacked, then you know it's his. Okay, the Mishnah speaks about stacked coins. What about they're lying in a little bit of a different design, which also perhaps indicates intent and plan and purpose. Kisher they're lying there in a circle like a bracelet. Kishuramo, in a straight line. Kichutzumao, in a trial, like legs of some container, basically like a tripod, right? Kisulamo, what about if they're stacked like a ladder, going up in a diagonal, not like straight up like a tower? So, do you have to return these or not? At least let's figure one out. If the coins are lying in a manner where if you embed a kisim, a little spindle, slip it beneath the coins, and that allows you to lift all of them together as one, which basically is reflective of a ladder format, right? Because then you could actually lift it all at once. That triggers the Chiv Achroza Shabbos Aveda, so we have a right at least to that format, and the answer is yes. What about Ka'avne Beis Kulis Mahu? What if the coins are lying, 3 of them are lying like the of a dessert called Markulis, which had a very unique design, Mahu. Toshma, the Sanya Motza Moisim Fuzoris, Bryce says he found scattered monies. Harishla, you can keep it. Kavne Beis Kulis up, if the structure like the Markulis, Chayv Lahachris, you have to return it. Veiluin, Avne Beis Kulis, how exactly are they lying? Achas Mikan, Vachas Mikan, one on this side, one on that side, Vachas Mikan, and one perched above both of them. Tanrabon, Hamoitze Yisela Basuk. Fine, you find a coin out in the street. And you meet your friend. V'amar tells you, Shali, it's my coin. Chadashi, actually, it's a new one. It says Niran Keser on it. Shamalach Pliny, it belongs to a different. It was coined by a different king. He's very specific and detailed in his description, and he hit the jackpot. It was actually true. Loy Amar Klum, it doesn't mean anything. Why? Let's see. Loy, not only that, even if he had his name on it. Loy Amar Klum, we don't accept it as fact. Why? Lefish ain't simon matbeh. The halacha is matbeh has no halacha of simon. You know why? Because the Amrina we think Dilma Fuki Afka, perhaps he spent it because money is meant to be spent. It's not like your own personal item which you don't typically sell or give away. It's money, it's currency which you spend. Ume inashachrin enough and fell from your supplier, whom you've given this money. So a simon on money is worthless. Bottom line, we have the Mishnah of Chayv Lachros, things that have a simon. What about Paris or money sitting right outside their containers? We had several variations. Sometimes you do have to return it, sometimes not. Bottom line is, if we have reason to believe that it came from the Kli, then it goes together with the Kli. Otherwise, you keep it. Is Minyan Simon? Is Makim Simon? We're not sure. Coins are basically a Davar She'en Bo Simon, unless they're stacked in a very unique format, which indicates intention and deliberateness. Matzar Achar Agapa, says the Mishnah. You find something behind a fence, or behind a stone fence, what'd you find? Little birds tied up. So you found them, on these quiet, pathways through the fields. Don't touch it. Don't touch it, because perhaps the owner is coming back for it. He put it there purposely, and he's coming back for it. Likewise, he found a utensil inside the garbage dump, inside the landfill. If it's sitting covered, don't touch it. It was stored there liberally. He's coming back for it. Leave it alone. Don't do any favors. But if it's sitting there exposed and uncovered and open for all to take, in that case, you have a responsibility to look after it, take it and seek the owner. My timer, back to the birds on the behind the fence. Why leave it there? That means because we have to say like this. Perhaps a person put it there. He stored it there, right? He hid it there. Right? He tied it up. He put it there. He'll come back later. And if he'll go take it now, he's gonna do in the owner, because remember, it has no siman, right? The owner doesn't have any siman, a siman to show for himself. So don't do any favors. Leave the thing alone. So the best thing is leave it there until the owner comes back and takes it. Asks the Gemara, what do you mean? You say there's no siman, but that knot. They have a kesher siman. Let the owner provide a description of the knot as a siman. But Rabbi Zapt was a standard knot. They were tied up in with their wings. The kuli alma hachim kashlu. Everybody ties it this way, so there's nothing unique about it. The location can be pinpointed by its owner, and that can be provided as siman. And we're speaking that they're just jumping around. So perhaps they started there, they ended up here, so there's no location to speak of. Well, in that case, just keep it. You know why? Because it can very well have just jumped from a mile away, from a place which was exposed and vulnerable, not a mokim which was secure and safe. You mean, this whole halacha, that you meant to back away from something which you suspect its owner has placed there purposely, is dafka when it's a secure, safe place. So you're doing him no favor by taking it. But if it's sitting out in the street, of course you have to look after it. So this thing that's chopping around very likely came from someplace else, perhaps an exposed place, a vulnerable place, an insecure place. So then there's no halacha of just, there's no requirement to leave it there. Says the Gemara, you don't really know where it came from, right? It's possible, but it's also possible that it was placed right here a minute ago and the guy just, left for a minute, coming right back. Right? It's true. It could have came from elsewhere, a place which was not secure. Mutar, in which case you can keep it, because it has no siman. On the other hand, you can say a person just placed it here purposely. In this case, you have an uncertainty, right, of whether it was placed there purposely or not. What's the halacha? Misafik, you have to back off. When you have an item where there's a suffix, whether it was placed there purposely, preferably leave it alone. But if you took it, too late. Because now, you can't just put it back. You know why? Because first of all, means you can't return it. Because first of all, there's no siman. So if the owner comes, how do you know it's him? On the other hand, you can't put it right back, because then you're just, exposing it. You're just, leaving it for the elements. It's not fair. So you have to hold it until the owner comes and verifies the owner. Mishnah says, "Matzah kli ba'ashpa." You find it in the ashpa. Mechusalik. Aboy megula et l'machros. If sitting covered, leave it alone. If it's exposed, take it and find the owner. V'raminu, we have a kasha from our price. Matzah kli tomen ba'ashpa. Right, the same idea. You found the kli buried in the ashpa. No et l'machros. You found it, take it and find the owner. Shekain derech ashpa lefanis. Because typically, trash is cleared out, and it's either now or never. Right. So go in there, take it, and find the owner. But the Mishnah tells us to leave it alone. So what's going on? Amar Rav Zvid Kasha answers like this. The Brisa, which tells you to call out and to find the owner, speaking about kubi v'kasi. Kubi are those containers, v'kasi are cups. They didn't just, end up there on their own. They were placed there purposely, in which case you have no business touching it. But the Brisa, which says, go find the owner, right? The Mishnah is speaking about containers are placed there purposely, leave it alone. But the Brisa is speaking of sakini v'hamnik, knives and forks. those very often just, get swept along with a person's household garbage. They could have just slipped out there accidentally and ended up in the garbage can. They were not placed there purposely. So there, you have an obligation to find the owner. Oh, the Gemara explains. Bekubi v'kasi, by containers, leiga, don't touch it. He'll come back and get it. B'sakini v'hamnik, by these, items of cutlery, noitel machers, go find the owner. That's one pshat. Papa Amar, hava bekubi v'kasi. Both the Mishnah and the Brisa are speaking about containers. Like Kasha answers like this. In one case, you're not doing you much of a favor. In the other case, you are. Kan ba'ashba sui lefanu. It's the Brisa which says, go find the owner. Speaking about the ashba, it's about to be cleared out. It's an ashba which is regularly cleared out. But the Mishnah speaking about an ashba that stays for a while. Kan ba'ashba she'ina sui lefanois lipanois, which is not typically cleared out and cleaned up, so the owner will come back and get it. Asks the Gemara, well, by the ashba sui lipanois, in the Brisa, the ashba is slated for removal, so why are you obligated in Hashavas Aveda? If the owner places an item in a place where it's going to be destroyed, it's called Aveda Midasi. It's a willful neglect, an outright carelessness, in which case you're not responsible for it. Oh, it says more Ella, rather, we're not speaking about an ashba which is regularly cleared. Ella ba'ashba she'ena asur lefanis. No, we're speaking about an ashba which typically is not cleared out regularly. So the owner, hid something there for a short time, but for a fact, you got wind of the fact that the owner, he changed his mind, he's about to go clear it out right away. So quickly step in there and save it. Okay, so bottom line is we have a Mishnah which says, don't touch the stuff in the ashba, the Brisa which says, do touch. According to Rizvid, it depends what type of container, right? If it's something which was placed deliberately, leave it alone, but something which ended up there accidentally, find the owner. Rav Papa says we're speaking about an ashba. The Mishnah is speaking about an ashba which is just, sitting there and not going to be cleared out, so don't touch it. Whereas the Brisa is speaking about the items which are slated to be destroyed together with the ashba which is about to be cleaned up. Now, Bishlam the Rav Papa, Hainu the Tanish came derech ashba lipanis. So according to Rav Papa, we understand why the Brisa, in providing the reason why I'm chayiv and Hashavas Avida, the Brisa says because the derech of an ashba is going to be cleared. So basically, it makes sense that the owner is clearing it and he has a right to do so because nobody's meant to leave stuff. So basically, the Brisa is explaining the halacha very well. El Rav Zvid, according to Rav Zvid, whose distinction is between containers and cutlery. So the reason is because it fell in there accidentally. What does it have to do with derech ashba lipanes? What does it have to do with the scheduling of the ashba? My shekain derech ashba lipanes. The answer is shekain derech ashba lefanes lakelim katana. Means like this: that it's assumed that with the garbage come along kelim katana, as we said, clean up the table. Sometimes a fork, a knife gets swept along, and therefore we have full right to assume that it's there accidentally, not deliberately, and therefore you find it, go find the owner. Okay, so again, let's recap the sugya. We have many items that have simanim, must be returned. What about the contents of the kelim sitting outside the kli? The Gemara discusses many variations, and in which cases you have to return them as well. Matbeyos are only meant to be returned if they're clearly derech chinuach, placed it deliberately, like three on top of each other, like a migdal, etc. We spoke about even money with a name on it does not have to be returned to the owner, and we learned the Mishnah that if we find things in a way which indicates plan and purpose, called derech chinuach, you shouldn't be touching it, especially if it has no simon, because in that case, you're not really doing it much of a favor. We have a stira regarding an ashba and two terutzim. Okay, all the best to you. Much hatzlocha and b'suras tayvis.